Hey everyone, welcome to another Musings on video. So I thought it was a good time to revisit programming idioms. It's something I covered in, 2023, I think it was August, where I was piggybacking off my Adventures in Bing Chat series to just talk about the importance of programming idioms. So as a result of me buying this book and just sort of ideas that were bouncing in my head this morning when I was out for a walk, I thought I'd revisit this under the guise of a Musings on episode, and we would go into Copilot to play around a little bit with this stuff as well. I'm going to plug this book again. I'm not receiving any monetary incentive to do this. It's a book I just bought and I think it's a really cool book. I will say a couple of things. Really, it's a sort of book you need to pick up after you've learned 2 or 3 languages. I would not recommend this book for a beginner. If you are interested in the book, there's quite a nice preview so you can get an idea of whether or not you like the writer's style of this book. For the preview, the preface is included, and I think all of the first chapter, where it sort of lays out the table, so to speak, of what's to follow. And there is a significant amount of chapter 2, which is actually the chapter on lure, but not all of it is sort of edited highlights. It's just showing you certain sections. But yeah, I'll include a link to this. I've also got an episode that will have gone out by now where I actually physically go through the book for my Life in Objects episode. So for those of you that didn't watch the original episode and don't want to go back, what is an idiom? Well, broadly speaking, when you're just talking about languages, regardless of whether it's a programming language or not, an idiom is the syntactical, grammatical, or structural form peculiar to a language. Idiom is the realised structure of a language as opposed to possible but unrealised structures that could have developed to serve the same semantic functions but did not. Specifically in programming, there's a number of ways of thinking about it, but this is quite a good way of thinking about it, which is a programming idiom's semantic role is a natural language expression of a simple task, algorithm, or data structure that is not a built-in feature in the programming language being used, or conversely, the use of an unusual or notable feature that is built into a programming language. Now, under the same sort of banner of idioms, you may come across terms like Pythonic for Python. So keep an eye out for specific languages where they have this term that refers to, the preferred way of doing things, or a particularly cool way of doing things in the language, or a way of doing it in the language which really plays to a language strength. And there may be specific terms that are used for that beyond just the term idiom. And I would say, the reason why I like idioms is that, as it says here, it's an important part of gaining fluency in that language. So you can learn them as you learn the language. Or what I do as well is I use idioms to cross-compare languages, which is what this episode is sort of about, really. And again, there's articles on Wikipedia which explore this. So, you can look at something like list-flavoured Erlang and ask yourself, well, how is it different from regular Erlang? And you can look at things like idioms. So if we look at pattern matching, how is pattern matching handled in Erlang versus LFE? List comprehensions, that's a really interesting one to do across multiple languages. Actually look at list comprehensions and then just see how they're implemented across different programming languages. It can be quite fun to just explore. To help you with your sort of journey into idioms, there's also quite useful sites like this, which I just discovered this morning as a result of reading looking at the references on the Program Idiom website. And there's plenty of websites out there to discuss programming idioms in different languages and across multiple languages. But I thought this was particularly interesting because it's got this nice dice feature. And so we've got idiom number 40. Declare a graph data structure in which each vertex has a collection of its neighbouring vertices. And you can see here there's different ways of achieving that goal in different languages. And the other interesting thing to do is you can see in some languages it looks a lot simpler than others. So look at Haskell, how that does that. So a fun thing to do, well, I call it a fun thing, but a challenging thing to do is to take this thing, this declare a graph data structure in which each vertex has a collection of its neighbouring vertices, and attempt it in maybe a language where there isn't a built-in function or something that's going to help you. See if you can do it. You'll notice that in here as well it says who creates the idioms. So it looks like this is within the team at Programming Idioms, but you might see individuals mentioned here. And we've got related idioms. So you can have hours of fun looking at these. Sort two lists together. Oh yeah, that's another interesting thing to try out in different languages. And you can see there's various ways. I think I need to take a look at Haskell at some point. That is on my list. How's that done in Python? Okay. What about Ruby? Oh, even better. And Rust. Oh, there we go, see? Big differences there. So like, how do you do that in C if that's a rabbit hole you want to go down? So I thought it would be fun to just see what Copilot thinks about idioms, because in the original episode that's what I was doing in the Adventures in Bing Chat, back when it was Bing Chat. So let's try this. First of all, I'm going to do it for Erlang, and then we'll switch to doing it for Lua. So some common Erlang idioms. I'm not going to try and run it on... I've got Tutorialspoint online compiler for this. I'm not going to try and run this code on there. There's a few extra hoops I'd have to jump through to get it to work okay. But you can see real nice sort of code examples. I like the new way this is being expressed, actually. I don't know when they changed this. I've been sort of away from Copilot for quite a while, since about May probably. I haven't used it properly really since May. So it's been interesting when I came back about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago to see this new layout. So let's try the same thing but for Lua, which I know I can run fine without having to jump through too many coding loops or have to sort of refactor it to run in a REPL. So let us do Lua, because that's what I'm currently dabbling in. I mean, the programming language explanations, in essence, is a lot about this, is looking at how do you do similar things across different languages, and also what things are really strong in certain languages that might be not so strong in another. So that's why I like that book so much. So we're going to be doing tables here. Yeah, I know there's some soup. Oh, yeah, great. Meta tables. So we've got some functionality in here as well to run the code. So let's go and do this. Yeah, I found with this, if I want to run like the do some testing of, say, Erlang code, or was it Prolog, there were a few extra things I had to really think about rather than just copy and paste the code. So I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole that's rife with potential failures. So there we go. It's nice. These are nice, easy ways of just testing out simple code without having to install the program locally. Now I have got Lua installed locally. It's pretty easy to install, but I just wanted, for the purpose of this, to prove that the code actually did run. I wonder if there's anything else. What else do we fancy here? I don't want to do too many languages. Shall we? Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do, is it? I wanted to do... Let's copy in and modify it over here. Shall we do C? It's going to mention pointers, probably, I imagine. Yep. Prototypes, function definitions. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention here, yeah, this ability in... So Lua uses tables as its sort of main data structure, and you build everything off of that, you know, in terms of other data structures. So, you know, if you didn't want to do a list, you do it in tables. If you want to do dictionaries, and so on. But it's this cool thing in the language with the ability to create a table, and inside of the table, this idea of, you know, there's like these meta tables, but this idea that you can have a function in there inside of the table, which I thought was really cool. So that's something I want to play around with a lot more and work out the different ways you can do that using tables, and what's sort of open to you, and whether there's a certain stuff there to do with encapsulation that's really handy, and, you know, other things. So yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole I'm looking forward to going down at some point in the future. So let's run the C compiler, just see if this is going to run okay. Oh, hang on. Yep, there we go. Sorry. Keep forgetting what I've got in the clipboard. Okay. Let's try and run this. Oh, there we go. So that ran okay. Now the other thing, I don't know if it's got it in here. Does it have... I'm going to jump backwards and forwards here a little bit as well. Can you show me some more Lua idioms? So I've just had a bit of a brain fart at the moment, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, so high order functions. Oh, there's meta methods. Is it called coroutines? And there we go. Yeah. So a coroutine is going to run okay in this. Let's have a look. Yeah, there is a difference there between the terminal stuff, if you want to do it in more of like a REPL type way, and the compiler. So just be a bit careful, and you get some of these, you know, have both, some have one or the other, and all sorts of variants in between. So so there we go, running coroutine, and then there was something before that where it did this. Okay, cool. So yeah, so the upshot is we can, you know, run the code, experiment with it, and this is actually sort of explaining to a degree. So I could say, can you add more detailed comments? I think in some way Copilot's getting smarter now, in that it does the bare minimum, which you can't blame it. After all, it's got to sort of conserve its resources. Okay, there we go. So we're getting line commenting, and I could probably say, oh, can you add line commenting or something similar? There we go. So a little bit more in-depth explanation there. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting thing to explore, see how it manifests in Copilot now for stuff like that. So I'll include that. I keep trying to think of the name of what It was called prompt. That's it, prompt. I keep calling it scripts, prompts. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is going back to this site. You notice there were a series of these, where you get different things, join a length, a list of strings, sort of thing. So one that came up earlier when I was playing around with this was to do with two-dimensional arrays. So how do you do the following in Lua, and can you compare it with doing it in Erlang? Not that it probably matters to be capitalized. And there's what I want it to do. So declare two-dimensional arrays, A and B of dimension n star m and m star n respectively. Now I'm probably not going to be able to run the Erlang code very well in that compiler without majorly refactoring it for the way they've got it set up online, and I don't really want to run it locally. So then we have the Lua version of that. Then we have the Erlang. And again, with it like this, I find it a lot easier to read. Okay. In Lua, arrays are represented using nested tables. In Erlang, lists and list comprehensions are used to create 2D arrays. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Actually, that's what I was after. And I can run this code in the Lua compiler. We can do that. Execute. Probably should have modified it to do a before and after maybe. Is it gonna, maybe this one will, do I want to tempt fate here? Because this does actually have a main function in it. I wonder. Yeah, let's go for it and see if it does actually run. Yeah. Erlang. Yeah, no. I definitely need to refactor this for this particular compiler. Yeah. I'm missing a load of stuff actually. It's not, yeah. Oh, I've got a just calling main. Anyway. Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole, but that's where I'm going to have trouble. So I think I'm missing some stuff. Define n, define m. Where's my strange? I wonder if it will do this Erlang code so I can run it in. Is it going to be that smart? Compiler. Bonus side quest here. Yeah, that's the bit I was missing. Module and export. Interesting it didn't include that. It's still not running. It's not going to run without calling the main function, I don't think. Let's just do that with that bit at the bottom there. See what happens. Okay. Maybe it will run okay. Oh yeah. I could call it Hello World. Because I'm not logged in, so yeah. No. I'm gonna have to tweak that a bit to get it to run okay, and that's not what the episode is about. So yeah, this is Actually, it's a good point with this. It doesn't always work as intended. This would probably run okay. Yeah, because what I could do is, I was running this locally, I could load this into Erlang, compile it, and then run the main function, and that should run okay. Yeah, okay, good to know. So let me just do that. Can you show me the same solution to the problem but in C? Run this in a C environment. Okay. Ta-da. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, be careful. That's why I don't always like using online compilers. You have to tweak them a little bit, and, you know, Copilot tried. So yeah, so a few thoughts of things to mess around with there. If we do, let's just finish it off with one more of these. I'm not going to specifically run it, I don't think. I might as well quit while I'm ahead. So we'll do Python. Rython, I meant Python. What does it think for Python? Okay, it's probably got a bit fed up with me. Maybe I've overstretched it. Let me go in here, see whether it wants to play ball. Oh, there we go. Ta-da. Enumerate, list comprehension, dictionary comprehension, lambda functions. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Unpacking, zip, set, all any. So now I can do things like, so this is cool. So I've got these, I've got 10 idioms. So we could try a trick like this. See, now I've gone off on a side quest again. But this is how I like to use Copilot, and this is how I get the most out of it. I don't just use it to go, okay, how do I do this? I really like to use it conceptually, rather than just say, oh, can you create code to do this problem for me? Problem solved. I'm really interested in concepts, so I find it as a great way of kicking the tires on certain concepts which I'm having trouble getting my head around. So how would you achieve the same in what? Closure? What do you reckon? So we've got the equivalence. Okay, this is cool. So hopefully you stayed to the end after I made a few hiccups there. Oh, what else have we got in this book? So I'm just flicking through here. Yeah, I wonder what that would look like in Julia. Now, of course, the thing you would want to do is run all of these in appropriate compilers, interpreters, whatever, and actually check that they do work as intended. But it's quite fun to, again, kick the tires and test the resulting code and break it down. And again, you can, go into a bit more detail with the comments, ask it for more information about actually what's going on under the hood. What about Julia? Now, was it Haskell we noticed that a lot of the solutions were very simple? Was that it? Is it 2 L's or 1? I can't remember. 2. Yep, so we've got use data.map. So it looks like it's, doing utilising various inbuilt features as it goes through these, which is quite cool. Do we want to live dangerously? You know I want to, don't you? I just can't resist it. Works okay. What do you reckon? So long since I've, if at all, used any of these languages, so I'm in my head. I can't remember, there's specific things I need to bear in mind to get these to work and behave themselves. I'm not really looking too much at the code syntax either, so. Yeah, not good. Yeah, sort of half expected it. So yeah, just be forewarned with this stuff. Let's try them all now. Now I've started, I've got to finish. That worked okay. What was the last one? Haskell. Okay. Yeah, half my problem is I don't really use. I only use this occasionally for certain things. I've been using it a lot recently for just testing out Lua code. But as I think I've said before, what I tend to do is obviously set up a local environment. Because that's half of the fun of it, I find, is like setting up. Yeah. Okay. So good to know. So would need a bit of tweaking there. I don't know if I want to add anything else to this video now. Go off on another side quest. What are some of the most important idioms to know across all programming languages? Trouble with me is part of the video I enjoy most is doing the stuff that I hadn't planned on doing, because it adds a little bit of chaos to the video, and those are the ones that can normally go wrong. It's like, okay, iteration looping, list comprehension, anonymous functions, unpacking, zip, generators, iterators, dictionary map comprehensions, context managers, functional concepts, and error handling. And I'm assuming that's going to be biased by the sort of languages I've picked there. So I could say, like, would this list change if we considered something like Prolog? Yeah, so and you can get into all sorts of interesting questions there about, here are 6 languages, what are some common idioms? that sort of thing. So, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I'll catch you in a future episode.